welcome back to the channel. My name is Rochelle from Rochelle.Handmade.Designs, and in this video we are doing finally my hashtag BHMPatternDesigners reveal. If you don't know what that is, you've been sleeping underneath a rock, because I have said this so many times for the Black History Month Pattern Designers Challenge, which is hosted by So Natural Dane, Nateida from So Natural Dane. This is the 4th year that she have had it. I participated last year, and I'll go ahead and put pictures up throughout the video on what I created last year and this year. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe button, and also turn on the notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into this pattern review. All right, so the pattern description for this pattern is simply, it's a shirt dress or a long over jacket. It also has skirt and shorts, and you can also do like a little top, and it has the belt as well. Now that's what it says on the pattern. However, you really can't go by anything on the pattern simply because it just gives the vague description of just being a shirt dress, all right? But really what it is, you have your shirt dress where you could create buttons or an overcoat and leave off the buttons. That's what I did, but I'll tell you all about that here shortly. And then you also have the view of doing the skirt as well as some short and some pants. So you have different options. I originally wanted to do the entire pattern with the shorts and the pants and all that good stuff and create a whole look, but time didn't permit, and I'll tell you why I did not do that. And I decided just to go with a long over jacket. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the skill level for this pattern. So the skill level for this pattern, I'm going to say, is an intermediate beginner, just for the sake of sewing this pattern. And the reason why I say that is because it does have buttons that you have to do. It does have collar that you have to do. So I would say that intermediate beginner. However, because I ran into some issues, which I'll put clips in throughout the video to show you some issues that I ran into when constructing this pattern, all right? So now that I talked about the skill level for this pattern, let's go ahead and get into the fabric used. So the fabric used for this pattern is 100% Ankara print from Afric Clothing Store. Now, I purchased this fabric when Afric Clothing Store was still on Etsy. So I purchased this fabric in like 2018, 2019 timeframe. I know it was in December because it was around Christmas time, and my package came a little later because of the Christmas holiday, of course. And when I seen this fabric, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna make with it, but I did purchase 18 yards. So I did use this fabric last year when I did a Mommy and Me, and I'll put the photos up of what I created, which was Simplicity 8380 for my dress. And then I did like a color block dress for my daughter, utilizing, I think that pattern was Simplicity 2377, if I remember correctly, all right? So I did create something else, and I will be using this fabric one more time. I have a little bit left later on in the summertime, hopefully, to create something else. Now that I talked about the fabric used and where I purchased it from, let's go ahead and get into the pattern pieces used for this pattern. So the pattern pieces used for this pattern is your front. You need your front, your back, your yoke, collar, the front facing. You also need the flaps for the pocket area, but I did not put pockets on my front bust area. I did put pockets on the side, which I added. You need sleeve, you need your sleeve tab, and then you need your buttonhole guide. So it's originally 9 pieces in order to create this pattern, but I only used 8 of those pattern pieces instead of 9. So those are the pattern pieces that you would need in order to create this long over jacket. So now that I talked about the pattern pieces, let's go ahead and get right on into the notions used. So the notions used for this pattern, you would need, now the pattern says that you need 5 5/8" buttons, and then you need another 7 of the 3/4" buttons, and I believe 4 of the 5/8" buttons, which means 11. That is so incorrect. Reason being is because down the front, you need a total of 9 buttons, right? And then you need 2 buttons for the flaps right here. And then you need another 2 buttons for the tab area as well for view A, which is the view that I did. So you need a total of 13 buttons. So I used 13 of these black buttons that I have on the tab, as well as the flap area. Now, here's the thing, you wouldn't need 13. However, I only used 4. And the reason why is because I decided after I did not have enough buttons and had to go back to Joann's to purchase 4 more, I wasn't sure if they actually had the buttons that I originally purchased for a total of 8. I purchased 8 buttons because it told me that it needed 7, and then, yeah. Long story short, I didn't have enough buttons, had to go back to the store and didn't know if I was gonna have enough. So with that being said, I just went ahead and put the buttons on the tab as well as the flap. So those are the notions that you need in order to create this item. All right, so let's go ahead and move over into pattern sizing for the pattern. So the pattern comes in woman sizes only, no misses sizes. But here's the thing. It comes in 18W to 24W and then 26W to 32W. The size that I cut was an 18W. Now, when I originally saw this pattern, I seen this pattern when I was doing BHM last year, and I went ahead and purchased it last year in February, doing the Black History Month Pattern Designers Challenge. It did not come in enough time to do it last year, so I already knew that I was gonna do it this year, and I already picked this fabric last year, a year ago, right? So what I did was, instead of me opening up the package, make sure that the pattern pieces is there, even though it's a newly cut pattern, and this is a vintage pattern from 1950s, is what it says. This is a Khaliah Ali pattern as well. So what I did was basically let the pattern sit in my to sew patterns that I pull out every year on the patterns that I want to sew. It sat there until a week before the BHM Pattern Designer Challenge this year is due. Pulled it out, and to my surprise, that the bust, waist, and hip does not fall into what I need. So I had to make some modifications. So now that I'm here at the modifications, I'm gonna tell you the modifications I made, and then I'm gonna show you a clip of what I had to do, all right? So let's talk about modifications. So for modifications on the pattern, it says that the bust, finished garment measurement for the bust was a 45. For the lowest size, 18W of what I cut was a 45 inch. The waist was a the waist was a 45 inch as well, and then the hips was a 48.5. So what I had to do was I had to size this pattern down, and I was super nervous, not knowing with the waist being a significant difference of 13 inches if it would take from the pattern. So what I did was I sized the bust down by 2 inches, sized the waist down by 13 inches, and sized the hip down by another 2 inches. So the lines looked awkward and weird. I will not lie about that. But I have said this before, just because the lines look weird does not mean that it will not come into shape. So I cut out a muslin and I put it on my Instagram stories that I stayed up. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday night. I stayed up to do a test muslin of just the front and the back and one sleeve. I did put one sleeve in just to test the fit. And when I say I sized it down and it fit spot on, I went to bed knowing that the next day I was gonna cut this fabric and we was gonna get it together, because I only had by that time 2 days left, 2 or 3 days left before I knew I was gonna be doing a pattern review and telling all the goods, bads, and uglies about this pattern, all right? So let's go ahead and roll that clip of what I had to do in order to size this pattern down. All right, so I'm showing you guys this because this is Simplicity 4198, the pattern that I am using to take part in the BHM Pattern Designers Challenge hosted by Nateida. So I have a few things that's going to be kind of a problem. And the first thing is this is the front for basically view A, B, and C. I'm going to show you the pattern that I am using, which is this one. And the first thing is the smallest bust is a 46. Well, that's going to be a little too big because even finished garment measurement, I try to do like 43, not to exceed 44 to give me enough room because I'm a 40.5 bust. The second step is the waist. The waist is at 45 inches. And my waist measurement is a 32 inch. So that's 13-inch difference. So I feel like if I take in, it's going to distort the pattern just a little bit. But I'm going to have to do a test muslin to see. And then the hips of 48.5. My hips is a 44. So with ease, I'll say like a 45.5, 46. So that's 2.5 inches of ease, which I'm not mad about the hips. But really what I'm kind of worried about is the waist. So I'm going to think on this and see what I'm going to do. Hey guys, so I am showing you guys my little test muslin. The fit after I did some resizing is spot on, but I'm going to show you these darts that I have to move up because they're too far down. So let me turn this camera around and show you. All right, so this is the muslin here. I'm hoping you could kind of see that because I'm doing this one with my phone instead of the actual camera. So it's gonna fit perfect at the waist and the hip area, but right up here, right here in the bust area, the dart is so far down. Like the dart is right here and the dart needs to come up probably a good 2 inches right here to meet right here at the nipple area. So I'm going to go ahead and you see how far down these darts are? They don't belong there. So I'm gonna have to correct that and move it up about 2 inches, but there may be some hope to get this done by Sunday. Well, Monday is the last day for the BHM Pattern Designer Challenge hosted by Nateida. So wish me luck. We go see. Otherwise, I do have a plan B, okay? So yeah. So this will be my venture later on tonight. I have some things I gotta get done today. Yeah, because it's later, it's getting late at night and I need to get this done tomorrow. So yeah, wish me luck. All right, so now that you've seen what I had to do to size this pattern down, let's go ahead and get into, did it look like the photos or drawings on the pattern envelope? All right, so it does look exactly like the photos and drawn on the pattern envelope. However, I decided not to go with the buttons on the front portion of view A. And I'll go ahead and pop that up. Because I felt like, I don't think with this long of a overcoat or a shirt dress, you could call it a shirt dress, but I'm gonna call it an overcoat. I don't think that I would wear it buttoned up all the way down. Now, I do have that option and I probably would still go back and put the buttons in just in case I choose to do that. And put the buttons on as well. But I chose, for the sake of the photos and everything, I didn't want the buttons on or any of that. So I still have time and I could do buttons anytime I feel like it, because this is a complete garment that I know that I could wear as a overcoat and pull it off as well. So yes, it does look like the photos or drawings on the pattern envelope. All right, so let's talk about instructions. Are the instructions easy to follow? Okay, so I'm gonna say the instructions are easy to follow, but not easy to follow, okay? Number one, the instructions for the tab is incorrect. And I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna put video clips so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, y'all, look at these steps. Like, I have the entire garment done, but I noticed that there are some instructions that are just like incorrect. First of all, let's talk about this tab. So in instructions, the instructions on step number 21, it says turn tab right side out, press. I did all of that, but it wants me to sew the tab onto the bottom of the sleeve, and then we're gonna turn it up. When I do that, it will not roll. So what I did is I'm taking the old pattern that I did last year, McCall 7635, and I'm gonna install the tabs that way, because the tab's supposed to look like this in step number 24 right here. And you can't have that if you do this in 21. Because if you think about it, on step number 21, once you fold it, right, it will not look like 24. Where at? I mean, it's just not gonna look like that. So what I think I'm gonna do is, where the dot is on the sleeve, I'm going to go ahead and attach the tab to that dot in the middle of the sleeves, and then do it that way, like the instructions for McCall 7635, which is another Khaliah Ali pattern. Also, another irritation is this belt for view A and B, which is step number 31 and 32. Well, it doesn't tell me how long I need to cut a piece of ribbon, and ribbon would look a little weird on a shirt dress or a overcoat. So I don't know how long I need to cut the ribbon. However, I know how to draft my own tie belt. I can do that if I want to. So I'll see after I finish constructing the rest of this shirt dress, over jacket, overcoat, and see what I'll do. Just stay tuned. Not only were the instructions for the tab incorrect, for the tie belt, it tells you to use ribbons, but it doesn't give you the length of the ribbon, the width of the ribbon. It did not say anything about ribbon. There is no tie belt pattern for you to cut as well. So it's kind of like a guessing game. But in all honesty, it says that this pattern is a vintage pattern, which I normally do not sew vintage patterns. I believe this pattern came out way back in like 2009, 2010. So now it's called vintage because it's over 10 years old, okay? But this, like I said before, this pattern is a Khaliah Ali pattern. And if you don't know about Khaliah Ali, I'll give you a brief description of who she is. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about who is Khaliah Ali. Khaliah Ali is the daughter of the famous boxer and people champion Muhammad Ali. She is a fashion designer, and over the years, she has built a career as a fashionable fabric mentor and designer as well. Khaliah Ali also does work with an online boutique with the name of Shop Q. In her shop of fashionable clothes and accessories, women can buy as per their body shapes and sizes. She has also experience in pattern collections for 2 decades. She have worked with McCall. She have worked with Simplicity as well to add to her collections of pattern. And her designers lands her understanding of the fit, making women feel great and comfortable as well. Now, just to give you a little bit about Khaliah Ali, she does have a website where she launched online apparel collections as well. You could go to, I'll put the description box I'll put the link in the description box below, but it's Khali, K-A-L-I, apparel.com. It is an e-commerce website which features her extensive Khaliah Ali collection of lifestyle-oriented apparel for women sizes 2 to 26. So that's a little bit about Khaliah Ali. All right, so now that we talked about the pattern instructions, let's go ahead and talk about my likes and dislikes for the pattern, which I already pretty much said that I love the style of this shirt dress, long overcoat, whatever you want to call it. I love it. However, my dislikes. I think that the amount of ease put into the waist was ridiculous amount of ease. Like, seriously. And I'm not saying that because I'm in the missus size and not the women's sizes. I think I am saying that simply because to have a bust of a 45 and a waist of a 45, that just basically said that you are flat straight from the bust to the waist. And then you just curve out at the hips. It just made no sense for an 18W. Now I did measure the pattern pieces all the way across. I took my tape measure and measured from the line of an 18W all the way across for the bust, the waist, and the hips, just to make sure the actual measurements are accurate, because I have sewn many patterns this year and every time I measure it's incorrect. So what I started doing is actually measuring the pattern pieces instead of following the finished garment measurement that's either printed on the pattern or on the back of the pattern envelope, because one thing that I noticed is the finished garment measurement has been off about a good inch. After measuring the distance across either the bust, the waist, or the hips, it's off. So to make sure that it's accurate and it's not too small or too tight or too big, but too big has not been my issue, it's been too small. Being the issue from looking at the finished garment measurement on either the pattern or the back of the envelope, it's not correct. So that's why I'm gonna give you that tip of making sure you measure at your bust, your waist, and your hips on your actual pattern piece that you're going to cut. Now that I talked about that, let's go ahead and talk about would I recommend this pattern to others and would I sew it again? So first of all, would I sew it again? To be honest, I think I would sew it again with no modifications, simply because I don't need any modifications because I already sized it down to my size. So there won't be a modification. Now, speaking of modifications, I did add side seam pockets. I did not want the pockets on the bust area, but I did want side seam pockets. So I did add side seam pockets. That's the only modification that I did. And then I did something a little different at the tabs. What I did was I sewed the tab to the wrong side, which is the inside of the sleeve. And then I rolled it up after, of course, hemming it. I rolled it up and then made sure that the tab was white, the white portion of the fabric, and basically to show as an accent. So that's what I did for both tabs. I made sure that I used the white portion of the fabric in order to create the tab. So yes, I would possibly sew this garment again. Now, would I recommend it to others? Actually, yes, I would recommend it to others, but I would say that if you are in the misses size, I would recommend it to you only if you have the patience to size it down. For my ladies who are in woman sizes already, I would say that you don't have nothing to size down. It's in your size. So I would recommend it to you, yes. However, if you want to get this pattern, the only place that you could get this pattern right now is Amazon and Etsy. That's it. I have not seen this pattern on eBay. Me personally, last year I purchased mine on Etsy. So I know Etsy had a few copies. While I was recording this video, right before I pressed record, I did check Etsy and there were 4 available. So yes, you can get it from Etsy if you do so choose. All right, so now that we talked about would I recommend this pattern to others, let's talk about my pattern rating. So the pattern rating for this pattern, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. And the reason why is because the instructions for the tab was wrong. The ribbon, you didn't say nothing about ribbons on the notion portion on the back of the envelope, nor did you give the size or any measurements for the ribbon, nor did you provide a tie belt for the pattern in order to do a tie belt and then stick the D-ring through in order to create that tie belt that you see on view A. So I'm taking off for those 2 things right there. Also, I don't think that it was a error. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. I wouldn't say that it was not taken into consideration for misses sizes, but to have that big of a difference of waist, it just threw me off and wasn't feeling it. However, I was at the verge of tossing this pattern in the trash, to be honest. I was going to toss this pattern in the trash and not even work with it because it was a huge difference in the waist measurement. However, I decided that, hey, when is Rochelle not doing a challenge? Really? So I was up for the challenge, and I just put on my thinking cap like I normally do and just made it happen. And I'm thankful and happy that I stuck with it, did not give up easy, and basically made this come to life. Because when I took those photos and I seen the photos after, I was so happy and amazed on how nice they look, to be honest. Well, that's all that I have for this pattern review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a new video. And also go over on Instagram to @SoNaturalDame, which I will also put the link in the description box below so you can see all the different makes for the hashtag BHMPatternDesigners. If you have not participated this year, next year will be the 5th annual year that she will be doing it, because I'm pretty sure she will be doing it again next year. Just make sure you choose a pattern early, get your fabric early. However, you cannot start this challenge until February 1st of next year. Just make sure you choose a pattern that you like, and it also has to be a Black pattern designer. It could be a quilter, a knitter, a fabric from a Black owned fabric shop. So just make sure you plan early. All right, so that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. And as always, keep